थैंक यू सो मच। आप सोशल मीडिया पे शो को लाइक करते हैं, सब्सक्राइब करते हैं, शेयर करते हैं। प्लीज़ कीप डूइंग दैट, उससे हौसला अफजाई होती है। मुझे अक्सर लोग कहते हैं कि तारिक भाई शो के अलावा भी आप वीडियोस बनाएं, जो कि मैं पूरी कोशिश अब करूँगा। एक दो वीडियोस मैंने बनाई भी थी कोविड-19 के ऊपर, आई थिंक लॉन्ग रेजिडेंस पे, लेकिन अब से पूरी कोशिश करूँगा कि मैं रेगुलर इमिग्रेशन कवानीन के ऊपर आपके लिए वीडियोज़ लेके आऊँ। एक छोटी सी मेरी आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है, क्योंकि हमने एक सर्विस मैंने खुद शुरू की है जो कि हमारी टेलीफोन बुकिंग सर्विस है, और आपको पता है कि मेरा मोबाइल नंबर बिल्कुल अवेलेबल होता है अगर कोई मुझसे बात करना चाहे। लेकिन अगर आप कोई केस मुझसे डिस्कस करना चाहते हैं अपना, एंड यू आर नॉट माई क्लाइंट, तो मैं लोगों से रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ कि प्लीज़ आप ये ऑनलाइन टेलीफोन बुकिंग सर्विस को यूज़ करें। इसका लिंक इस वीडियो के नीचे अवेलेबल है। आई विल बी ग्रेटफुल अगर आप इसको यूज़ करें। अगर आप चाहते हैं तो आप मुझसे रब्ता भी कर सकते हो और मैं आपको ये लिंक भी भेज सकता हूँ। बट मेरी छोटी सी रिक्वेस्ट है कि अगर आपको कोई मुझसे एडवाइस लेनी है, कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन लेनी है अपने केस के बारे में, क्योंकि आप मुझे डॉक्यूमेंट्स भिजवा रहे हैं, तो आई विल बी ग्रेटफुल अगर आप हमारी इस टेलीफोन सर्विस को यूज़ करें। उसके अलावा अगर आप मुझसे मिलना चाहते हैं, दैट इज़ वेरी ईजी। मेरे ऑफिस का नंबर इज़ एट द बॉटम ऑफ द स्क्रीन, या मेरा मोबाइल नंबर भी आपके पास अवेलेबल होता है। आप उस पर मुझसे रब्ता करके अपॉइंटमेंट बना सकते हैं। अपना ख्याल रखें। थैंक यू सो मच एंड एंजॉय द शो। Hi, Richard. Thank you for joining the show today, Immigration with Tariq, and so kind of you to join us today. Now, just for everyone to introduce, Richard is the managing director for, I think it's Innovator International.
That's
and
correct, Tariq,
yes. And you are one of the endorsing body for the Innovative and Startup Visa.
That's correct, yes, that's correct.
So, my first question to you, Richard, is a very candid question, that when you look at the Home Office policy, it says the plan itself should be original business plan, should be viable, and it should have a potential for growth. Now, quite honestly, I think they're very vague terms. It's not very specific what could be an original business idea, because to me, if I draw a business plan, it could be an original business idea, but then how do you see that? And my main question is that when I present the business plan to you, and do you work with me to improve the business plan, or you outright reject? So I just want to get your view on the initial stage of a business plan.
Okay. So a number of very, very good questions there. Firstly, let's look at the innovation aspect. Now, of course, innovation means many things to many people, and my academic and commercial background is in innovation. We took the Home Office guidelines for what they see as an innovative, viable and scalable business, and we use those terms quite literally. So we've broken down the definition into a series of questions, which we assess through our assessment process. The first question we ask is there demand for the idea? Is there current demand for the idea? And that really ties into viability a little bit as well. If we believe there's demand, we then ask the question, does it offer some form of competitive advantage above and beyond what is currently available? So we look at what's available regionally, what's available nationally, what's available internationally, and ask, is there something different about this? But one of the key drivers for the Home Office, they don't want to see business taken away from other local traders. So one of the key things here is, again, looking at what other people in that locality are actually doing, and ensuring that if they are competing, they're doing something above and beyond. There's some competitive advantage to what they're doing above the local traders. Now, the other thing we need to look at as well that ties into this is scalability. And scalability suggests that the project should have the scope to have national and international recognition. Some of those have that straight away, especially if they're already dealing with people or businesses overseas. So we're looking for national and international recognition and the ability to employ people. So what we've really done now, we've encapsulated innovation and viability. But what we do, we look at every proposition and we say, is it offering something different? And if it's not offering something different, could it offer something different?
And if I, sorry, my apologies, but if I then give you a business plan, and there are some shortcomings in the business plan, would I get feedback from you to improve the business plan, to get it over the threshold of what is required from your point of view, or would I get a flat out no from the organization?
Absolutely. So every endorsing body is different, of course. Now, what we tend to do is when we get a business plan, we'll look at it, but we don't look at just the plan. We look at the potential for the plan, and more importantly, the potential within the people. It's never a case of saying yes or no. That's simply from us. What we tend to do, we tend to invite a pitch deck or executive summary in the first instance. We'll review that and give some feedback to the applicant. It may be that we normally say one of 3 or 4 things. Either this isn't right for us for whatever reason, which is, it just means the project's simply not right, or the people aren't right. We say it is right for us, let's progress to the next stage. Or what's more common is we say this bit's good, this bit's good, this bit would be better if ... And that's where we can put suggestions in. And the most common if is we have an application which sounds like it could work, but they simply haven't assessed the market properly. They haven't asked end users, would you buy this? Because our ethos, we don't want people coming across to the UK and in 1 year having their project failed, so their endorsement has to be revoked, their visa revoked, and they're in a very unfortunate position. They have to leave the UK. We want successful projects for successful people who are building a life for themselves and their families and contributing to the economy.
Now, that's an interesting thing you just mentioned about the local community. And now a lot of these applicants would be overseas. Now, in that instance, it could be that they're familiar with the market, they're familiar with, because it relates to their field, because the CV supports their claim, but they're not aware of the market, local market, obviously, because they're living overseas. Now, in that case, they will probably hire a local consultant, an accountant, or a business planner, and they will work with the business planner to draft the business plan. And how do you see that collaboration? Are you okay with that? Because here's a
Absolutely.
person who, sorry,
absolutely. Go ahead. Again, the important thing here, so all the way through our process, firstly, we look at an exec sum or a pitch deck. We then invite the business plan that goes to our panel. And even if the business plan at panel is requires improvement, we'll always get back to the people and say, we like this, but we honestly think you need to do a little bit of risk assessment, or the financial plan needs a little bit of shaping. So we will always work with people to help them get to the point where they have an accessible project, an endorsable project with a business that has the maximum chance of success. Now, the Home Office have introduced some new rules recently.
Yes.
They haven't really introduced them. They've sort of more made sure that they were clear. And this goes into something we mentioned earlier on. We're okay with business plan writers writing plans for people, because we know not everyone's good with the written word. Not everyone enjoys writing business plans. But the most important thing is that the entrepreneur coming to the UK has either given the full intellectual input to the plan, or contributed significantly to it. So the last thing we want is a business plan writer saying, look, I've come up with an idea. Let's give it to an investor overseas who can effectively have that idea and then bring it to the UK. The entrepreneur, and we've got to clarify, it's entrepreneurs, not investors, have to have had significant input to the intellectual side of that plan. But we're fine with someone else writing it, absolutely.
All right.
Or even contributing to it.
And then, of course, we mentioned that the impact of the business should be nationally and internationally recognized. Now, would 50,000 be enough for that? Because the other questions I get asked sometimes is that, look, I have a brilliant, from the service industry or IT industry, I have a brilliant plan. I'm going to set up a service bespoke office. I'll have 1 staff, 50,000 is enough for me. Is that all right? Because of course, if you look at, it depends on the scalability of the plan, but is 50,000, as far as you're concerned, an acceptable amount? I know it is in the Home Office policy itself, but is that a starting point, or is that acceptable if somebody gives a business plan with saying, not 100,000, I'm going to initially invest £50,000?
We see a wide range. We see a wide range. 50,000 is, of course, the minimum. But again, even in terms of the wording here, the applicant has to show they have £50,000 available to invest in the business.
Yes.
They may only invest 10,000 of that, but they have to have 50,000 minimum available. Now, if you have an organisation that's relatively close to market, they're going to be generating revenue soon, they're not going to need further investment. Some organisations will need further investment. One of the stipulations of Home Office state again is they have what the applicant has what they need in place prior to entering the UK. So if we have an applicant that says, I'm going to need £100,000 in 12 months, the first question we have to ask them is, if you don't get that £100,000, is your business still sustainable?
Yeah.
And if the answer is no, because at the moment the investment community is up and down because of what's happening.
Yes. Yeah.
We are in the process of joining the UK BAA, the Business Angels Association, which is the largest group of business angel investors in the UK. And that's with the aim of helping our clients get to the point of investment if they need it, but they have to have a plan B that says if they can't get more money, then the business will still be sustainable. But by way of example, we have some people with thriving businesses overseas, and they want to bring or relocate their HQ or start again in the UK. Now, of course, they've already got a good business line. They've got a good community lined up. They can carry on serving their clients overseas. They're just wanting to relocate to the UK for one of a number of reasons. And in those cases, they don't even need 50K because the business is working.
Oh, that's very fascinating. You said that if somebody has got a business model set up overseas, they could just duplicate that model here as long as it serves the industry over here. I think that's very interesting. Now, from your perspective, if you could just run through, because I went to your website and I could see that initially there is a contact page. So if I'm as an applicant interested in submitting a proposal to yourselves, I think at the initial stage, I have to submit an executive summary, which is online, as I understand. If you could run by the process,
sure.
What the timescales and what can I expect from you in terms of when I start the process itself?
Okay. Well, for information straight away, we are relaunching our brand and our website with a whole new members area in November. So that it will become a little clearer. But in most instances, people either email us directly or send a plan through the website. Most do email us directly, and they'll send an executive summary or a pitch deck. We will look through that to make sure it's appropriate and give some feedback, and we do that within 5 days. Some people do send us a business plan direct. If they do that, then that's okay, that's fine. We'll skim read it in the first instance to make sure it feels right. And if we like it, we then take it to the second stage, which is where we assess the full business plan. That is where myself or one of my colleagues will read the plan in detail, cover to cover. Again, it's 10 criteria. And the criteria are the sort of things you expect any investor or business manager to look at. Yes. Does the person understand the market? Do they know how to sell what it is they have? Have they got the skills? Have they got the resources? Is it innovative? Is it scalable? Have they looked at the risks, i.e. have they thought about what can go wrong? And is there a good financial plan? If we like that, we'll then take it to our panel, where a small team of us assess everyone, so it can't be, it's very independent, if you like. There's no personal bias if you particularly like a single plan, and we then get feedback to the client. That whole process takes around 2 weeks. We have done it in a few days, where we've had an urgent situation and a fabulous business plan that raised no questions. But normally from first contact to last contact, if the client is receptive to questions and answers fairly quickly, then we're normally talking between two and 4 weeks. 2 weeks typically if the client answers quickly.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Very briefly, we don't charge for any of that process.
Because I was going to say, but my next question exactly was, what's the charge itself and when does the cost kick in?
Okay,
does the cost, yeah.
So when we know a project looks or feels right, we will then offer that person a contract. They get a chance to look through the contract, make sure it looks right and feels right for them. And if it does look and feel right for them and they want to proceed, we will then send them, they'll sign a contract online, all done online. So again, it can be done in a matter of hours. We will invoice them for the first payment. And as soon as we receive that payment, they are formally a client of Innovator International. When they're a client of Innovator International, we are permitted to give them their endorsement.
And that's the endorsement letter they require for the Home Office application.
Absolutely. So we have to make clear, we provide a business support program. People are paying for the business support program, but we have the privilege of being able to give people who are on our program an endorsement.
Yes, so, I'm familiar with that. Just to clarify to people that basically you are there to support their business.
Absolutely.
And basically because you're approved by the government, you're giving them a letter saying that they are your members. And as your members, they then have that letter, which then they can submit the application. Now,
the way we like to think about it as well is typically if they have an immigration specialist, their role is to get them their endorsement and get them into the country. Our role is not to give them an endorsement. Our role is to hold their hand when they get into the country. Well, firstly, to make sure they have a business that will contribute to the economy, and then get them to the point where they have their indefinite leave to remain. So our role is not giving them the endorsement. Our role is getting them to the point where they have a good, thriving business, they're settled as a family, and they're able to achieve their goals, if that is the ILR, of course.
And let's talk one step ahead. Say somebody has gotten a letter from yourself, endorsement letter. They signed up. Well, first of all, they give you the business plan. You're happy with the idea. To and fro, it's all finalized. You give them a contract. They sign the contract. They have an endorsement letter. Now, obviously, the next stage is they have to now make the application to the Home Office.
Absolutely.
And if you then read the Home Office guideline, it says, yes, technically the Home Office should not ask a lot of questions because you've done the undertaking of the initial process, but then the caseworker has the discretion to come back to the applicant and seek additional information based on the endorsement letter. Now, at that stage, if they do decide to conduct that exercise, then do you take the stance with the applicant and then support the application, or you take a step back and say to the Home Office, look, you speak to the applicant directly, or then you stand with the applicant in answering those questions raised by the entry clearance officer or entry clearance decision maker at the time, or even here locally, yeah.
On occasion, and so statistically speaking, you have to excuse me a moment. I'm about to have a of all the things during an interview, a cat is about to invade the screen. This is a problem. This is a problem.
we got a BBC moment happening here. That's good. That's good TV now. I hope it makes it cut.
He's been behaving for a while, and he was just starts answering close to the screen. Okay, so the on occasion, and it is very rare. Out of around 75 applications, it's only happened twice. The caseworker will call us directly to clarify a point.
All right.
And by way of example, once they'd found some specific articles about the person, which questioned their reputation, they made us aware of those articles and said, we're not sure if you found this through your due diligence. Are you still happy to endorse this person? And we looked at the articles. We hadn't found them, to be honest. But they were a learning experience for the person involved, and we said, yeah, absolutely, we are happy to endorse the person. In another case, they've asked us to explain why they thought a project was innovative, and again, did we want to uphold the endorsement? And again, we said, yes, absolutely, it's innovative for this reason, X, Y, Z, and we would like to uphold the endorsement. Now, since that, we've actually updated our form for the Home Office to provide a lot more information, and we've not had any questions since. But in both of those cases, the people got their visa. So now, if the applicant gets questions from the Home Office and they ask us to assist them, then of course we will assist them, because we're as transparent as we need to be with absolutely everything. But the one thing we can't do is contact the Home Office on the applicant's behalf. That is a relationship. We're asked quite specifically, if an applicant has a question about the visa process, direct them to the Home Office website. And we know there are challenges at the moment with COVID. Things aren't as slick as they normally are. But that said, visas are coming through every single day.
And the other interesting thing is that I saw on your website that you are the endorsement body for the startup visa and an innovative visa. The main difference being is there is no investment requirement in the startup visa, whereas innovative visa requires an elementary level of investment. And considering startup visa is only for 2 years, and mostly that's the end of it unless you switch over to the graduate scheme. Do you see that a lot of applicants are for innovative visa at the moment?
It's about 50-50, to be honest.
Oh, wow. So there are people with startup visa making.
What we've got to remember is the startup visa, the time on the startup visa doesn't contribute to your 3 years you need to apply for ILR.
Yeah.
But the big difference there is on your startup visa, you can have paid employment to support your cost of living.
Yes.
So the startup visa is very, very popular with people who haven't established their marketplace yet, and graduates who want to start a new business, who may need secondary income whilst they're building their business to the point at which it will take over and provide them with their full cost of living.
So would you, as a endorsing body, would expect them to put an elementary investment in a startup visa, or you're open to the business plan where they say, look, we're going to work and then part-time work towards setting up a business?
We're absolutely open to that. We only see a need for investment where the business demands it. So let's say, for the sake of example, someone is developing an app or some software, and they're not a coder. They're going to need to source, and this is the most popular example, they're going to need to source that app from somewhere. If they put £1,500 in for an app and a website, then we're going to question that one straight away. However, if they're a computer scientist or a good coder, they may not need that money to invest in that, but then they may need money for marketing. So we will look at every aspect in a holistic manner and say, most people do put a small sum of money in on startups, typically 10 to 30,000.
Oh yeah, no, I'm aware of that. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. But you know, we'll look at what they need to make that business work, and we'll say, how are you going to do this? How are you going to do this? And how are you going to do that? And that's what typically takes part through our questioning. If they can't do it themselves, we'd expect them to be able to buy it in. And that's why we assess in our process skills and resources. When we're talking about skills, we're talking about what sort of skills do they have to contribute to the business. When we're talking about resources, we're asking what do they need to buy in, because there's a skills gap there.
I know, because I recently had an inquiry where somebody was a state agent back home in Pakistan, for example, and they wanted to come here and then provide online service, and they wanted to keep their back office back in Pakistan because the cost of running an office is cheaper there. So obviously, someone like that could either opt for the startup visa if they do not have the investment and they want to work on the side to build up their finances, or they could opt to bring in the 50,000 and go for the Innovator. Because even with Innovator visa, you could have a team, but as long as the team each puts in 50,000, then you could still apply under a team, and which is fascinating. I mean, hearing from you, because it's so good. And I hope people appreciate that, how refreshing it is, because not a lot of these awarding bodies or endorsing bodies that come forward like you have, and and I had a very candid conversation. And the key thing I love about, I think, your setup is that you're across the board, whereas other endorsing bodies are more towards a certain field.
Absolutely. May I tell you the reason for that?
Yes. It'd be very interesting for me to find that out, though.
Okay. So well, our background, we are a team of business advisors. My co-director ran some of the UK's, or assisted in the running of some of the UK's largest business support programs, as one called Growth Accelerator. And what our background is helping companies get to the point where they can grow, thrive, and achieve whatever it is that they want and need to achieve. Now, when we became an endorsing body, it was something we did because of our background in innovation. We looked at where the system was seemingly failing.
Yeah.
We noticed there were reports online about people not understanding innovation, not getting the point of an endorsing body. We heard about particularly low numbers of endorsements going through, but in all honesty, that's expected in the early stages of a new program.
Yeah.
And we said, what we need to do is develop a program that's not constrained by geography, not constrained by sector, doesn't request investment or equity, because of course a lot of the endorsing bodies are investment organizations, and supports anyone with any project that is right and suitable. Now we're able to do that because we're in a very unique position. Having done what we've done, we've got access to hundreds of absolute high quality associates who are experts in all of their fields and all of their disciplines. So we have someone who's very good with intellectual property. We have a number of people who are superb with finance, digital marketing, websites, apps, whatever it is you need, we have access to those people. And we wanted a program that was easy to access. Now, if you take, for example, an incubator in Oxford, by way of example, their core business is being an incubator in Oxford, and they're going to offer endorsements as a sideline to what they do.
Yes.
When we realized how many applications we were receiving for this, and we do receive around 70 applications a month, then we realized that to really do this service justice, and I think it's a fantastic program the Home Office have designed for so many reasons, we needed to really understand the ins and outs of being an endorsing body and give it the attention it deserved. So we dropped a number of other things that we did as a business, focused on building a community of entrepreneurs that's available within the UK or internationally. And it went from strength to strength to the point where this year to date, we've submitted around 75 or so endorsements. So the numbers are coming in, and it's great for us, because what we're doing as we move forward is we're building a community where all of these entrepreneurs can interact with each other based on what they do, what they want, where they've come from, where they live. And that is our vision, to get these people working together, building off each other, working with each other without barriers. So it had to be geography free. It had to be free of any sector constraints. And now we do see applications from the arts and antiques through to engineering. There's a lot of services. We also see a lot of people developing apps and software, and we have to be very careful with those because there's so much of it out there, and breaking through with an app is very, very difficult. But I mean, the beauty of what we do is in the variety of our clients.
And I'll tell you what, this is an amazing conversation, and thank you so much for coming on board today. And I think explaining all these, and the aim is for this show to give people information. And I hope they have a better understanding of what is involved in the process itself or of an application for Innovator Visa. And then so much more work has to be done during this process, and then thereafter, what other steps have to be taken. And then the key thing is, I think you're with them for the foreseeable future. That it's not a one-off endorsement letter and the walk-off. You're assisting them, helping them, and then maybe in certain cases, maybe increasing their network because you already have other members who would then hopefully chip in and help them out.
Well, this is one of the drivers for Venture Plus. We recognise that a lot of people are coming to the country. If they haven't got an existing business, they're coming in, telling us what the amazing things they're going to do, but they don't have a business network in place. They don't have someone to write their website, someone to develop their software, someone to help them with marketing. So as soon as entrepreneurs land, we put them on a fabulous course, developed by a close friend of mine called Andrew Henderson. The course is called Success GPS. And what Andy does, he takes their personal vision and their business goals and turns it into an operational plan. So within a short while of getting their visa, they've got a 30, 60, 90-day operations plan, along with a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year plan. And it aligns their personal goals with their business goals, because you can't separate the two when you're a business owner. We then have other options available. We have a phenomenal training course from some people called Sales Geek who constantly win awards in the North for their quality of service. What we do is we try and understand specifically what our clients need. We set their targets for their business and the home office, and we monitor those targets regularly to find out how things are going, because that's the best way to assess a business. If for any reason they're not on target, we will then find out what corrective or supportive action we need to take, and we'll bring specialists into that business to make sure it maximizes the chance of success. But the Success GPS and the Sales Geek courses really set them en route, because the business, as we all know, is nothing without planning and nothing without sales.
And I think that's the important bit. I think I wanted people to know that it's just not the endorsement letter. The support that comes afterwards, which is the key, because anybody could come up with a good idea. But like you said, a lot of them are foreigners in this country when they come in. They may not know the technical know-how of how the things are worked. And especially you need contacts. You may have a great product, but without having the people or the customers or way of introducing it to the local market, you might not get out your service. And I think that's the best thing here with your organization, that you already have a platform of other members, and they may be willing to assist a new member who've come in, who wants to build a business here in the UK.
Yeah, certainly. We learned about this by accident. The first thing Andy does with Success GPS is he sets up WhatsApp groups for the individuals. And the first team, we had people from Malaysia, China, India, Australia, Pakistan. And immediately, as soon as they all joined the group, they were all talking to each other. Oh, this is what I do. What is it you do? What inspires you? And that community feel was superb. And it's what made us think straight away, we need to build something that's a lot more community focused than technical hard business support, which is why we're pushing in the direction that we are now. Again, seeing how they communicate and connect with each other is absolutely fantastic, which is why, again, we give them a client relationship manager from the word go to help them settle, help support them through their journey, because of course it's not just a business journey.
Thank you so much, Richard, for today, and then hopefully we're going to hopefully do another session soon, and I'm looking forward to it.